Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and give this video a like up. Former WWE head writer Vince Russo recently spoke about Bronson Reed's match on Raw. The Tribal Thief was in a singles match against Jimmy Uso. Reed got a huge win at Crown Jewel in Perth, Australia, this past weekend. He bested Roman Reigns after a confusion in the ring led to Jey Uso spearing the OTC. This week he got the better of Jimmy Uso in a singles bout. He picked up the win with a vicious tsunami on his opponent. After the encounter, Reed and Braun Breaker issued a post-match beatdown on Jimmy, forcing Jey Uso to make the save. During a recent episode of Legion of Raw, Russo questioned the need for this week's match. He pointed out that WWE felt Jimmy Uso was over with the fans. He detailed that the creative team felt giving Bronson Reed a win over Jimmy would build up his momentum from Crown Jewel. Russo explained that the booking should have placed Reed in a match against Jimmy first and Roman later. He felt the current creative team has lost sight of the simplest booking techniques in wrestling. Bronson Reed was involved during the final segment of Raw this week. Under the guidance of Paul Heyman, Reed and Breaker turned on Seth Rollins and destroyed him in the middle of the ring. Prityash is a WWE news writer for Sportskeeda Wrestling who started watching wrestling in the later part of the Attitude Era. Although he holds a bachelor's degree in engineering, Prityash was a creative writer for his college, and his flair for creativity and love of pro wrestling eventually led him to the journalism field. After an initial stint in 2016 to 2017, he has been writing regularly for Sportskeeda since 2021. As someone who loves and respects the business, he prides himself on factual, clean and ethical reporting, free of plagiarism and AI usage. One of the ways he ensures this is by transcribing videos that he reports on. Prityash had the privilege of interviewing superstar Matt Hardy in his career so far. Although his favorite wrestler is CM Punk, as he relates to his straight-edge philosophy. When he is not reporting news, he loves reading and collecting WWE action figures. He currently owns over 500 wrestling figures and merchandise. When a wrestling promotion repeatedly neglects the core principles of storytelling, the cracks begin to show. And following the latest Monday Night Raw, WWE seems to have committed exactly such an error with Bronson Reed. A miscalculation that has veteran eyes rolling, and even former creative voices speaking out. Over the weekend at Crown Jewel in Perth, Reed pulled off a tremendous moment. He defeated Roman Reigns after a ring chaos led to a miscue by Jey Uso, allowing Reed to land his finisher and claim a signature victory. That win had potential. It elevated Reed as a serious threat and planted seeds for future feuds. But fast forward to Raw, and WWE doubled down, in a way that undercuts what they just built. Reed faced Jimmy Uso and won again, via a tsunami finisher, then teamed with Braun Breaker to beat on Jimmy, forcing in Jey for the save. On paper, it seems like they were trying to cement Reed as more than a one-off spoiler. But in reality, the booking betrays a failure in pacing and logic. Perhaps the clearest criticism comes from former WWE head writer Vince Russo, who recently skewered the booking decision on the Legion of Raw show. Russo questioned why WWE felt it was necessary to immediately have Reed beat Jimmy Uso after defeating Roman. He argued that logic, the simplest in wrestling, was inverted. First, you beat the lesser guy, then you beat the well-known guy. But bro, they've even lost sight of the simplest fundamentals of professional wrestling. They've even lost sight of that. Russo's point is straightforward. The hierarchy of wins should build. Historically, a rising star, Reed, should first beat a mid-tier guy like Jimmy, then earn the credibility to challenge or fall in line with major names like Roman or the Usos. By having Reed take down the more valued star after a major win, WWE muddies the storytelling. He also noted that WWE evidently believes Jimmy Uso is over. So giving Reed another win over him was meant to further momentum. But if the promotion is already vested in Jimmy's popularity, why undermine that? If the talent isn't hierarchically managed, the structure collapses. Let's dissect why this feels more like a misstep than a bold direction. There are several overlapping problems. The momentum Reed earned from Crown Jewel should have been allowed to simmer, build stakes, then culminate in a big win. But by immediately asking him to stack another win, especially over someone the creative team seemingly values, WWE short-circuits the tension. Momentum becomes noise. If Jimmy Uso was believed to be over, then giving him a loss on Raw devalues that belief. Meanwhile, Reed fails to gain because his victories lose meaning when they're expected. When every match he wins is a big win, audiences lose the sense of escalation. Good booking gives the audience why a match matters. Here, there was little explained. No emotional or storyline rationale for Reed to leapfrog Jimmy. It felt like blind power moves, rather than careful storytelling. Russo's point about fundamentals matters. Wrestling storytelling often thrives on basic arcs: underdog, challenger, hierarchy, setbacks, payoff. WWE seems to have abandoned those basics in favor of shock or wow moments. But surprises without structure feel hollow. If Reed is being built as a top-tier threat, then delivering repeated wins prematurely leaves no room for meaningful losses or character development. He becomes a blunt instrument, not a layered character. Let Reed win at Crown Jewel, but follow it with a pause. Teasing next challengers, letting the crowd feel uncertainty rather than rushing. Next, put Reed into segments where his threat is tested. Promos, run-ins, near misses, not guaranteed wins. Book a match against Jimmy Uso or a mid-tier star first, where Reed barely survives or takes damage, showing grit, not dominance. Then, build to a match with a bigger name, Roman, Jay, etc., with believable stakes and audience investment. That sequence gives narrative breathing room, elevates every match, and keeps Reed from peaking too early. It also preserves the credibility of other roster stars. To add another twist, and a new angle, Raw ended with Reed and Breakker destroying Seth Rollins, turning on him under Paul Heyman's guidance. That moment has shock value, but in the context of weak build, it risks being a swerve without emotional weight. Why should fans care about someone turning if the prior investment was shallow? A betrayal works best when the audience feels the tension, sees cracks, senses the buildup of resentment. Without that, the twist feels transactional. Oh, they attacked him. Okay. Next. It's more spectacle than storytelling. In today's environment, wrestling audiences are sophisticated. They see overbooking, they see undercuts, they see cheap jumps without purpose. Even social media chatter quickly turns critical when logic is absent. And when veterans, storytellers who've built decades in the ring, publicly mock your work, that should serve as a red flag. When Russo warns that the simplest fundamentals are lost, that's a warning not just for this moment, but for creative philosophy. Yes, but with humility, intention, and course correction, WWE still has a chance to salvage Reed's trajectory. Slow down. Let his push breathe. Don't make every match a win. Let Reed suffer losses or near falls to create stakes. The audience must fear that he can lose. Build authentic rivalries. Give him credible, emotionally grounded opponents, with motives, grudges, personal stakes. Avoid short-term shock booking unless it's deeply earned. Use the betrayal of Rollins not as the main event, but as the consequence of a long simmering storyline, friction, tension, miscommunication. Bronson Reed is an intriguing, powerful presence in WWE. His potential is real, but potential alone doesn't carry a narrative. Consistent, logical storytelling does. And with the latest Raw, WWE seems to have lost sight of that. In their rush to build Reed, they trampled fundamentals. In their zeal to surprise, they risk undermining emotional purchase. Critics like Vince Russo aren't just nitpicking. They're calling out a foundational error, departing from the clear, incremental paths that make wrestling compelling. If WWE doesn't course correct, Reed's momentum may flatten into mediocrity, and the big moment may never truly arrive. And when that happens, the creative misstep becomes a wasted opportunity. One that might haunt the promotion far more than the shock of a betrayal or a surprise.